You are now watching Rise and Fall Fantasy Game Day with your host, Dave Sarner.
Thank you, Daddy. Appreciate it once again. I'm going to take off the headset. We don't need it. What is going on, folks? My name is Dave Sarner. Welcome to the Rise and Fall Football Top 10 Starts of the Week, where we're going to be going through fantasy football top 10s for the quarterbacks, for the wide receivers, for the running backs, for the tight ends. And then we'll get into our parlay pick of the week. Before we get going here, I'm wearing my Sean Taylor 21 75th anniversary edition jersey in honor of Sean Taylor. Not going to get into what is going on, folks. My name is Dave Sarner. Welcome to the Rise and Fall Football Top 10 Starts of the Week, where we're going to be going through fantasy football top 10s for the quarterbacks, for the wide receivers, for the running backs. See, that's what happens in a live show, man. We'll get into our parlay. Can't have myself talking over myself. Anyways, so going back to everything, we're going to go through our top 10 today of the quarterback position. We'll go through the running backs, the wide receivers. The way we'll do quarterbacks and tight ends, we're going to do kind of a top 5, really, for plays of the week. But then we're also going to do top 5 sleepers. Kind of streamer options, if you will. That if you're doing DFS, we'll go through some DFS pricing on those guys and why they're on the list. One way or another, they're kind of there for a reason. Whether it's their, the rankings this week, where the experts have them, the matchups, positional, opponent ranking against that team. Of course, those are the easy things. And then there's kind of the other things, little injuries, little things here or there. Just gut feelings, whatever, if you will. Trends, of course, of players. If they're doing pretty well. If they've had some interesting stats. I mean, there's a couple of tight end sleepers that I think some would be really shocked, actually, at one of my sleepers is. We'll get into that at the end of the show. And then we'll finish off with our parlay pick of the week. If you guys haven't been watching, the parlay pick of the week is a thing we're going to do on the show every week. It's going to give you an opportunity to win an authentic jersey, just like this. This is a full-on 75th anniversary edition authentic Sean Taylor jersey. You guys will have a chance. We need to get the channel 200 followers, or really subscribers, rather, in order to get there. But the goal would be to get you guys an authentic jersey. If we don't get there, but we can still get some new members of the community, we'll do NFL hats, we'll do non-authentic jerseys, etc. So the idea is, we just want to start discussions. We want to start a community here. So if you have any friends that, are into these kind of things where they don't have a lot of time, but they need some quick last-minute advice on some of the more pressing or interesting plays of the week, this could be a show for you. With all that being said, we're going to dive into the Week 6 starts here, or the top 10 list that I have put together. Before we do, there is going to be some buys this week. So going into the bye week, we got Falcons, the Jets, 49ers, and the Saints. So obviously the two London teams, they're out. But this tells me there's a pretty decent amount of tight ends here that are out. Obviously Kittle, obviously Pitts, Ridley, Corey Davis, a wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, of course, at 49ers wide receiver. After Jameis and those wide receivers had a good outing last week, the Saints are all off. So there, and then the running backs, of course. I mean, I don't even have to go into those, but obviously Kamara being out, Cordell Patterson, who's been a fantasy stud, is out. Michael Carter and Ty Johnson, who both look good, and they were in our waiver wire show this week. In case people needed them for later in the year, of course, those are two guys that could definitely be on your radar, especially if they're still there this week. All right, we'll talk about that on Tuesday. But those are your bye weeks. So luckily, in a way, it's not like the full offensive. Like, these aren't full offensive stud teams, right? So most likely, especially at the quarterback position, I would assume you guys really shouldn't quite have a problem this week unless you're relying on a Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston team. And at that point, if you have those two quarterbacks on your roster, then you're probably not doing too hot to begin with. Although Jameis probably got you some good points if you played it right. So with that being said, let's hop into the top QB plays, of the week here for week number 6. Obviously, you see Big Ben there. There's not on this list. He's not on the top quarterback plays, so don't think I'm that crazy to put Ben up there, even though we'll talk about that Seahawks matchup. No, my top 5 quarterbacks on the week here are Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Taylor Heineke, and Kyler Murray. That's right. You heard it right, people. Taylor Heineke. Now, I get it. I'm a Washington fan. I get there is a homer mentality. Just know that I've been one of the more realistic Washington fans. Like, I'm the Washington fan that a lot of Washington fans are like, what the hell are you talking about when it comes to some of the criticism and analysis of the team? Because I like to keep it a little more real. And the real side of it is that this game could very well be a shootout. Now, I am hoping that this is just not wishful thinking and somehow Washington still implodes, because it can definitely happen. But I love the matchup. There's a reason why both quarterbacks are here. Now, I was actually kind of surprised that Washington is actually giving up the 20th most points to the quarterback position. I thought they would at least be at like a 30 or 32. The way their pass offense has been, or pass defense has been, has just been horrendous. I really am stunned at that. So I don't care what the matchup is, and it's not that bad of a matchup for the quarterback position. And that's why you're seeing Patrick Mahomes there at number 2. But Josh Allen coming in at number 1 against the Titans, let's be real here. That's a dream. If the Titans defense continues to play the way they're playing, Josh Allen is going to go off again. He's been a fantasy stud after some questioned him in the first couple weeks. No one's questioning that now. And if you were questioning that, then you're kind of dumb. I don't want to call you out on the show or anything. But I'm going to be real with you. You're kind of dumb there if you thought that, And there were some that did. Listen, we have our dumb moments, So those are your top 2 guys. Obviously, Taylor Heineke coming in at number 4 here. Reason being, obviously, you're going up against the worst defense, one that's worse than Washington right now in the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, there's a reason this game's over under is like 52.5. Heck, you could have made it higher and I wouldn't have been surprised. That's how much points I expect in this game. Obviously, we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill a little bit, but those are the obvious plays. Terry McLaurin, again, also great matchup this week. The running backs. Now, the running game is actually going to be a little bit, I think, less attractive in my opinion. Like, I actually don't know if they're going to be, like, I think Antonio Gibson will get his. I think maybe they'll use J.D. McKissick a little more this week. But on the other side of things, Darrell Williams, Washington has not been good in the past. No doubt about it. Their run defense, on the other hand, is actually pretty good. So just keep that in mind. And also, Darrell Williams is getting the start. But, again, I'm kind of, there was a little whisper of Marlon Mack to them. And I just kind of think that they might make a move, whether it's Marlon Mack or someone else, whatever. It doesn't matter. Darrell Williams might give you that value for like a week. So it's a decent matchup for him. We'll talk about him a little bit too, but I'm more focused in on the pass game here. I think the passing is just going to go off. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong and Washington steps up to the plate because we thought they had the talent sort of before the season, right? I mean, people were saying top 5 and now they're just nowhere near it. So Patrick Mahomes, anyways, I'm getting way off track here. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes, 8,300 on DraftKings. I would take Josh Allen over that. Just throwing that out there. Matthew Stafford against the Giants. Even though Daniel Jones is going to be in this, I kind of like the shootout a little. Not shootout, but I kind of like the passing yards in this. I think Daniel Jones could definitely struggle, but I don't see any reason why Stafford would struggle mightily against this team. Sure, they've gotten a little better in that area. They've shored up a couple things there, but they are letting up big plays, and they have big play guys. Robert Woods just went off last week. Bobby Trees loved it. I needed a touchdown in my bet, but I'm not mad at it. You know what? It was a monster game. So I love seeing that from him. And I just like Stafford at his price is 6,700. I'm quite interested in that one. Let me just see something real quick here on DraftKings here. So Matthew Stafford. Sometimes I just kind of like to look at their home splits, and see kind of what their situations are. DraftKings has this. You can always take a look at those kind of things here. So at home game, so he is the away game, right? And away games this year, Stafford's throwing for more yards per game. All right, he is here, but here's the difference. Ready? The away games, touchdown to interception ratio, 3-2 in away games. So 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions so far on the road. At home, 9 touchdowns and an interception. So that's probably where some people are scared off of him a little bit. And that's what I would worry about with Matthew Stafford. But it is the Giants, and I know they could play teams pretty well. Maybe this is not a stellar performance, but I somehow think that the Rams will kind of burrow through that, And that's my personal take. I'm hoping I'm right. But just be a little cautious, I guess, if you have Matthew Stafford and say a more sure play, I would play that. Like, don't overthink Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford. Even with Cliff Kingsbury, I probably would still play, not probably, I would still play Kyler Murray. So unless you're making that kind of decision, Stafford, I think, is a good play for you. But you know what? Now I'm kind of questioning if he should be in this top 5. But listen, we're going to go with it for right now because they do have a great passing attack. I like Higbee in this matchup, and I like the wide receivers. So, and Darrell Henderson, the run game, that's where they could really win it. And that's what might really cap him this week. Not his performance, rather, but maybe the run game, they focus a little more on that. Although you could also pass it to the running back, and that could really help out. So that's kind of why I like Stafford. I really like the weapons around him, so that's why he had to be up here. Number 4, Taylor Heineke. It's kind of self-explanatory, the defensive rank. I expect this to be a shootout. Very, very nice price on DraftKings, $5,800. He'd be my value pick of the week. And then, of course, number 5, I actually had Kyler at number 3 before this list, and maybe that's why I'm sitting here looking at Stafford at 3, like, why do I have him there? It's probably because Kyler Murray was there at number 3, and I kind of flipped them before the show started. That would make a little more sense. Obviously, if you guys haven't heard, Cliff Kingsbury and I believe the general manager, Steve Keim, both got COVID. So there's some coaches, especially the head coach, that's not going to be at the game. It's possible from what I'm hearing that Colt McCoy could be calling plays. Okay. So with all that said, it's more about the selection here. I'm hoping that maybe, hey, Kyler could put it on his shoulders and still do his thing and, and make something for it here. But there's a lot of question marks with that situation. Just because the play calling is not going to be Cliff Kingsbury. And that does make a big difference. I'm not saying Kyler's going to be top, 25 and he's barely going to crack the top 15. No. I think he's going to be maybe still a top 8 guy, but I had him as like a top 4 guy before. Now I have him more at the 5-6 range on my ranking. Although, the matchup is good. It is good. Even though that Cleveland's defenses looked really good, their secondary you can pass on. So, and with his ability, I still really like Kyler. So you can't really discount it. And if anything, maybe it will put it on his shoulders and he'll kind of go that route and kind of, take it on his own hands to get you big points. So those are your top QB plays overall. Really in the top tier of the quarterback position. Obviously, Taylor Heineke for me is kind of my big play of the week. Kind of my big bet, if you will. And then we have technical difficulties for a second there. The top QB streamers of the week. Now, I usually do 5 of these, but I actually included a lucky 11. So we got Lamar Jackson, number 6. Obviously, he's not really a streamer option, but he's a guy who, I guess in DraftKings, if you wanted a somewhat cheaper value in the mid-tier, didn't look as attractive from a opponent standpoint. But for Lamar Jackson, I mean, number 6 on my list for me in terms of plays of the week, especially for the streamer option. I don't hate the option there. I think that, that defense is good, but it's Lamar Jackson. He's a different type of quarterback. Even over the mobile guys. Like, he's just a different kind of guy. And I'll give him the respect, man. He really tore it up against Indy last week. He's a QB1. He's an elite quarterback who can also average, I think, 68 yards per game right now, which we would say is not that great, but let's be real. That's amazing for any other quarterback in the entire NFL. Any other quarterback, even Kyler. So the fact that we just look at it like, wow, that's not even that good compared to what he's been, that's why I still like him as a nice streamer of the week. You're obviously going to start him in your leagues if you have him as well. That kind of goes without saying. Other streamer options, and these are kind of more for DK guys. Just want to throw that out there. Or if it's a deep sleeper league and all these other guys are taken and say you need to go with like Lawrence or Tua. Those are 2 guys in the showdown who they don't have in main lineups, I don't believe. At least I didn't see that. But both have pretty good matchups. I do like even though it's a London game, it can get sloppy. I do like points in that game. So that's why you're kind of seeing him at the bottom. But Kirk Cousins coming in against the Panthers. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I don't really know if I wholeheartedly believe that Kirk Cousins is going to come in and dominate. But at 6,200, I do like the value there. But for me personally, I'm going to throw this out there. By the way, the player rankings here are just kind of like where I had them ranked on this like top QB play list. The bottom half of the quarterbacks and usually the tight ends are straight up streamers. So it's not exactly a true 6 through 11. These are just kind of the others that I think in a DFS platform you guys can go after. So Kirk Cousins, 6,200. I like the value. Big Ben. I mean, this might be the week you start Big Ben and you take him in a streamer option here. 5,400 against the Seahawks. We just don't know what's going to happen with Geno Smith in this offense. Seattle's defense does give up points to all these position groups, especially wide receiver. That scares me. Even though Juju's out, I expect a big day from Diontae Johnson. I expect a really nice day from Chase Claypool. Najee Harris, we'll talk about him on the next part of our in the running back segment. Has a really nice matchup. I love the matchup. I like that, the Steelers defense can absolutely come in and even though they haven't been exactly the Steelers defense that we know, I think that they can really turn it around against the Geno Smith-led offense this week. And I could be wrong. Geno could look amazing, right? But I'm going to bank on kind of what we know about it, and I think Big Ben, that definitely deserves streamer options. If anything, he'd be a top play of the week, to be honest with you, over, some of those other, maybe one or two other guys. Maybe we throw Big Ben over Stafford, but I thought maybe, you know what? That might be a little too bold. All right, so those are your top quarterback plays, top streamers of the week here. All right, we're just going to move right along here. We're going to go in top running back plays of the week. And here are your top 10 running back plays. Now, these are cherry picked in, if you will. You'll notice that not all of them are, best of the barrel. Now, if it's the more towards 32nd ranked is better, right? You want that weaker defense, okay? So that's what you guys are looking at. So if you see 32nd, Najee Harris, number 2, there's a reason why, right? Seahawks are 32nd against the run. We just talked about Big Ben. I love Diontae Johnson and Claypool. I think Pat Freiermuth can get involved this week. But I think Najee Harris is going to be a huge play. 7,400, I'm starting him in a lot of my DFS lineups. And if it wasn't for James Robinson's big games, like the way he's been producing and the way now that Urban Meyer finally has woken up to the fact that James Robinson could be a tank for your offense, I love this matchup for him too. He's my number 1 running back of the week. James Robinson, he is trending up, up, up. He's been just monster running for you guys. They are heavily relying on him. Carlos Hyde was back last week. It didn't matter. So going up against the 27th ranked run defense, I like that. James Robinson all day over on the pond, or over beyond the pond, right? Over yonder in England this weekend, or in London rather. Like I said, it's both correct. All right, number 3, Austin Eckler, 26 against the run the Ravens are, which is a little surprising, but Eckler is a do-it-all back, receiving, rushing. As long as he doesn't get injured, I like the price. I should say I like the play if you have him on your season team. I don't like his price for DraftKings. I think you can get better value this week than the 7,900 that he offers in what my opinion is maybe a trap game that could be for him. Ravens can always step up, no matter any week, they can somehow figure it out, right? And that's like Ravens are known for defense, known for their scheme, their blitzing. And I just, I think he'll have a great receiving game. I think the running game will be a little bit heftier to handle against this Ravens defense. And even though they are really bad, don't get me wrong, they were really bad against the run. Something about it I just don't really quite love, especially not his DK price. 7,900 for me, I'm out on him. I'd rather absolutely take like a DeAndre Swift if he's good to go at 6,300. And Chuba Hubbard even at 5,900. I love that one. So, number 4, we got Jonathan Taylor. The guy's on a tear. I don't care who's there in the backfield. The offense seems to be working right now, and they're going into a divisional matchup. Now, this could be one of those games where Nyheim Hines takes over. I will not lie to you. I'm a little hesitant. Every time I put Jonathan Taylor in like a top 5 situation to play, he shits the bed. All right, so I'm just throwing this out there. I like him this week. But it could be a Nyheim Hines day. 6,600 on DraftKings. I love the value there. And number 5, Antonio Gibson. We talked about that Chiefs game a little bit earlier. The run might not be as impressive. Again, you're not seeing Darrell Williams. Obviously, I don't know why you would see him on this list. But on this end, you do see Antonio Gibson there. 16th against the run, the Chiefs are. And Gibson could do it all, man. And he can break. You've seen him break big tackles. He has the shin thing, but it has not been an issue. He's good to go as far as I'm concerned. Unless we heard otherwise, it sounds like he's good to go. It sounds like Terry's good to go. For him, I think it's actually been rest. So I think you guys are more than good on Antonio Gibson. And then so just monitor it, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Do like his price is 6,500. Number 6, we got DeAndre Swift. Swift obviously has some questionable tags going on right now with him. It's every week for him. And let's be real, he always comes in and he always plays. So most likely he's going to play. Jamal Williams also has a questionable tag. So keep on track of that, because if DeAndre Swift is RB1 and there's no RB1B, I would actually put DeAndre Swift maybe even ahead of both Antonio Gibson and Jonathan Taylor right there at number 4. Bengals are not great against the running back position, and DeAndre Swift is very similar to an Austin Eckler, but he has that explosive ability that such rare running backs really do have, especially in the receiving game. So I love DeAndre Swift this week, especially if Jamal Williams is out. You bump him up 2 spots. Chuba Hubbard at number 7. Not the greatest matchup, but I do like the matchup over, say, Jonathan Taylor. Vikings can be scored on. And I really, really think he's going to get the volume, especially with McCaffrey out. So 5,900, by the way, he's my best value on the board here. And yes, I know I see Javonte Williams at 5,000. I mean, based on where I have him ranked, I think he's the best value. I think Javonte Williams is kind of more of a sleeper guy that I'm like, all right, if Melvin Gordon's out, Javonte Williams, he's going to be top 10. And so I'm kind of sneaky playing that one, kind of like trying to be a hot shot expert, if you will, and trying to, predict the trend. But it's possible Melvin Gordon plays and then that completely gets blown to shit. So it's kind of a risky play, but I do like the Chuba Hubbard number 7 play. I think he will end up in the top 10 at the running back position. Now, just so I'm clear on these lists, guys, these are my predictions essentially for especially running back and wide receiver of the top 10 finishes. So like based on all the information, I'm not telling you who to start over who. This is who I think is going to end up, basically being the top guys of the week. So take it for what it's worth. That's how we do it on here. For the quarterback, tight ends, again, we do the top five, and then streamer options are kind of their own category. All right, so those are your top 10 running backs. We're going to get into the wide receivers now. Starting off our list here. Now, it's obviously, I didn't even want to put him on here. Tyreek Hill is the obvious one. I wanted to do a couple obvious ones, especially when they have big plays, right? And again, I'm trying to determine who's going to be like the top guys of the week. It's hard not to have Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs at the top of this list. It's just not. In their matchups, I fully expect them to go off, just like I do the 2 quarterbacks coming in at 1 and 2 on the other end. Ironically enough, we don't see anything from the running backs for either of these games, mainly because of the guys. I think Zach Moss could have a good game, but I'm not relying on him to be a top 10 finish. Keenan Allen. Let me break down Keenan Allen. This is a what if scenario, if you will, going to the Marvel roots, right? Keenan Allen is number 3 on this list if Mike Williams is out. Let me repeat that. Keenan Allen's on this list if Mike Williams is out. If Mike Williams is in, you insert Mike Williams at number 3, and you move Keenan Allen down to about number 10. That would probably knock Jalen Waddle off my list and DK Metcalf. And we'll talk about Metcalf. I again added another 11, a lucky 11. And when I do that, it's kind of a guy who I have a feeling, it's like there's a feeling. Let me bring up the face cam for this one. It's a feeling, okay, that you just know whatever you decide on this guy, it's going to be the opposite. That's my lucky 11s. Okay, that's how we do it on this show. All right. So when you see it 11, and we saw it before too, I didn't really explain that, but those are those guys that I'm sitting there like, whatever I think they're going to do the opposite. It just always happens, and I'm kind of curious to see if I actually get those right if I guess them ahead of time. So that's how we're so when you see DK Metcalf here, guys, at number 11, I'm telling you that I think he's going to kind of shit the bed this week, which means that he probably will pop off and be a top 10, top 11 pick, somewhere around there. So that's how DK Metcalf works. Just want to throw that out there before. But that all is irrelevant if if Mike Williams is out. If Mike Williams is out, if Mike Williams is in, Jesus. If Mike Williams is in, he goes number 3. Keenan Allen is the sole proprietor of that wide receiver core, and Mike Williams is out. He will be at number 3, and this will be your rankings. All right. If Mike Williams is in, of course, Keenan Allen will get bumped down to around Jalen Waddle, 10 or 11. And I would just kind of take my lucky 11 potentially off the board. Or Jalen Waddle. I don't really know. That one's kind of a question mark to me, too. Either way, number 4, we got Cooper Kupp against the Giants. I said it before. It's a good matchup for the Giants, and I think that they could hold them, but not enough. I mean, not enough for at least the yards and the catches. And I think Cooper Kupp will get back to that 20-point game this week, and I have him as a top 4 finish. Number 5, Terry McLaurin. That matchup, again, we've talked about it. It's going to be a lot of points, 52.5 and over. I think Terry goes off. I don't know if I think he'll score, but I don't know if he'll go off for like 11 catches this week, but I do think he'll at least get a big play. I think he'll at least get you, 15, 16 plus fantasy points in a full point PPR. I'm hoping for the 20-point game, but I think that would be like I think it would be his floor as long as he stays healthy. Number 6, speaking of health, Diontae Johnson. I'm going to gamble on it this week. I think it's a Diontae Johnson week. 6,600 against Seattle Seahawks. We talked about Steelers game in nauseum as well, and we'll move on. Sterling Shepard, same matchup there. Rams are actually giving up a lot of points to wide receivers right now. I'm a little surprised. I think it's the shootout style. Sterling Shepard, Daniel Jones is back in. And I'm just going to say this now. 5,000 on DraftKings. That is the steal of the week for the wide receiver core. In my opinion, that's the guy who I'm throwing in my lineups. Every lineup. All right, I'm going to take the risk on Sterling Shepard. He's kind of my play of the week for the DFS community. 5,000. I really like that. Jacoby Myers, I like him a lot too, but I like him a little less at 5,500 in DraftKings, even though he has a really nice matchup as well. And I put the Patriots as his opponent. Of course, it's not the Patriots. I'm just being dumb. But Chase Claypool comes in at number 9, going up against the Seahawks. Again, same as Diontae Johnson. I think both guys have a pretty big day. Of course, so does DK. They put him right in the same range at 66. So I guess dealer's choice on that one. I think Diontae will have the bigger day when it's all said and done. And then my kind of sleeper for the top 10 here is Jaylen Waddle with Tua back, man, in London. I just think, as long as he's healthy and everything, I think Jaylen Waddle will kind of explode against, Urban Meyer in this Trevor Lawrence-led Jaguars. I'm hoping for a high-scoring game, and I think the pace will be pretty good. If Jaylen Waddle is also using the run game, I'm kind of banking on that a little bit more on the end arounds and stuff this week. And then we talked about DK Metcalf, guys. I think he's going to kind of shit the bed. If you guys believe my bad luck and my curse with the lucky 11, then go ahead and start DK Metcalf. He'll probably go off for you guys and win you money. All right, that's how we're going to leave that. All right, top tight end plays. So again, tight ends, we're only doing top 5, guys. These are my top 5 plays of the week. I got Travis Kelce at number 1 against Washington, self-explanatory. Mark Andrews against of course not against the Ravens there. Mark Andrews coming in at number 2. The ranking is correct, though. He is going up against the 30th ranked run defense, 5,200. We like that, especially for the value there. Noah Fant, I actually really like him this week, and I screwed up all of these, didn't I? No, you see that? I did 2 separate and 2 different. That's what happens when you're trying to rush things for a show and doing pre-production by yourself. Noah Fant coming in, going against 19th ranked tight end defense, 4,800 on DraftKings, great value. Again, they're going up against the Raiders, by the way, in case you guys weren't aware. Raiders losing John Gruden, all the drama from Monday night. I'm just curious how they play, and I'm curious how much it affects them. That's kind of where I see Noah Fant kind of coming in and just gashing the shit out of them. I mean, I could totally see their defense taking a little step back, but maybe KJ Wright is enough there with some of those nice pieces that they do have decent pieces on that defense. The defense is playing pretty well, but it's near the bottom of the category of the mid-tier tight end defenses. So I love Noah Fant this week. I think this is a Noah Fant week. And here is a guy who I really, really like. He was my waiver wire pickup of the week last week. And then he was actually one of my plays of the week last week in Hunter Henry. And he did go off last week. Mac Jones seemed to really get a nice rapport with him. And it was good to see because, I mean, if you couldn't get a rapport with 2 tight ends that, cost you guys like $100 million in the offseason, then that's a failed offseason. I mean, it looks okay. But I think a lot of here, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of fan bases, okay? Sorry, I got to itch my nose, of course, when I put the camera up. I got a lot of fan bases that probably looked at the Patriots fan base when they were all hooting and hollering about their free agent signings. And we all looked at them like, you're going to learn. We all basically knew, like, hey, like, it never works out that way. Especially, listen, I'm a Washington fan. I know. We are off-season champions. I know. And that was kind of one of the funny things. And so I am glad at least one of them is working. But it was kind of predictable, the slow start for the Patriots offense. Maybe Mac Jones is finally getting his feet under him. The cohesion starting to get there. He was in competition with Cam all preseason. So these first couple of games were really like really thrown into the frying pan and getting going. And he hasn't played as bad as I would have thought. He hasn't played as well as I would have thought either, though. So, Mac Jones did, that all being said, play better last week. So, I'm going to take my chances. I think that he's going to have a better game here. But I do like the connection with Hunter Henry. And he really delivered big. By the way, 3,900 on DraftKings. He's also my play of the week in DFS. Number 5, Mike Gesicki in the London game. Obviously, Dan Arnold I like too. We'll talk about him in a second. But Mike Gesicki kind of breaks this list going up against the Jaguars in the 9:30 game. I think Tua coming back, you'll see a little more production going there. And I think that Tua will have to kind of throw a little inside there, utilize some trickery with Jalen Waddle. I think the outside is going to be a little bit better covered than people do think there in Jacksonville. So I kind of like Mike Gesicki this week. I'll be honest with you. It is a little toss-up, though. I couldn't really figure out quite who I like there in that top 5 spot, but I'm going with Gesicki. Because I just think at least one of the tight ends is going to pop off in the morning game. And realistically, it could have been Dan Arnold. I love Dan Arnold, and that's why he's number 1 on my tight end streamers list. Because, listen, Dan Arnold is impressive, okay? I'm really liking what I saw of Dan Arnold so far. He's already become one of the best target options for Trevor Lawrence, and they just traded for him for a reason. Dan Arnold is a great streamer play this week and a great DFS play if you want to do the showdown lineup. Basically stack him and Trevor Lawrence, go James Robinson. Or I would really, I don't know, maybe I would do like Trevor Lawrence, Dan Arnold, James Robinson, fill it with a couple of the, maybe Jalen Waddle if you could. I think Myles Gaskins might be too much. Maybe Gesicki's cheaper. I don't know. But I like Dan Arnold this week. He's my number 1 streamer of the week. If you guys want to go for a cheaper option, again, I don't know if he's in full lineups in any formats, like in any classic formats, but I know in Showdown he's available, obviously, for that early morning game. Number 2, Taylor Heineke. Look at me, Washington. Got my head in the clouds. Tyler Higbee for the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Giants. Giants are giving up the 22nd most points to the tight end position. Again, I have Stafford in top 3. There's a reason for that, guys. I just think the weapons are going to really help out Matthew Stafford in this matchup. And I just think that he's going to blow the roof off them. And maybe this is me being a rival fan, so take that into account too. But Tyler Higbee coming in at number 2 on the tight end streamer list. Mo Alley Cox coming in at number 3, going up against Texans, giving up the most points to the tight end. He's also one of the cheapest on this list, rather. Number 4, Ricky Seals-Jones. He was an interesting guy because he got 9 targets last week when he in his first start with Washington, Taylor Heineke. And I'm going to say this: Taylor Heineke loves his tight ends. All right, he loves to utilize the tight ends. Remember in the playoff game last year when he was getting the start there? Who did he rely on when he was going up against one of the best teams in the NFL? Logan Thomas. All right, who has he relied on for the most part this year outside of Terry McLaurin? Logan Thomas. He likes his tight ends. Ricky Seals-Jones, I expect him to get at least 6 to 7 targets this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a touchdown. Then my deep sleeper of the week. This is maybe my biggest surprise on this entire list, and that is Donald Parham for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, hear me out, because people are going to sit here and look at it like, no Jared Cook? And I'm just going to say this, no Jared Cook. The reason why there is no Jared Cook is because when I looked at Parham, here's the interesting stat. Even on limited snaps, in the last 2 weeks, he's gotten 9 and 12 fantasy points. All right, he has 21 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks. He's been getting thrown the ball in the red zone. He's becoming more of an option, a younger option, one who Justin Herbert seems to like. I like him. You know what? 2,900. Maybe I would. Here's the thing: if you wanted to take a less risk play, Ricky Seals-Jones, I love at 3,000. That's my value play right there. Dan Arnold in the showdown. Those are my 2 value plays. Donald Parham would be the risk value play that I think could crack the top 5. Maybe not the top 5, but he'll at least get you 10 points. All right, would you take a touchdown at 30 yards? If that's the case, I think Donald Parham could do that for you. So that's my tight end list of the game here. All right, we are going to, and that's the top 10 of the entire stream. So we got the running backs, got the quarterbacks, we have the tight ends and the wide receivers. Those are your top 10 of the week. If you guys want, I'm going to put these into individual episodes that we're going to be posting tomorrow. So if you're watching this now, you'll be able to watch tomorrow when we launch these episodes in the morning. I'll probably maybe do it tonight because of the 9:30 game, but just to give people more time figuring if they wake up early. you know what? Most people won't give a shit. I don't think like they'll kind of have their idea of who they're starting in this matchup. Maybe you have Devontae Parker, stuff like that. Maybe you have a question mark, but otherwise, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now, the parlay pick of the week here. We usually do these every week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this kind of. We got a question in the chat. Ooh, we got a trade here. Okay, so he really needed a tight end, so he gave him Dawson Knox and Myles Gaskins for Najee. Used some stats and got the trade. I like it. I mean, here's the deal. Myles Gaskins, he's been going off a little bit more, but like that's going to be regression to the mean. I mean, Najee is a guy that you want to have on your team, especially in a keeper league. I mean, I don't know if your league, I think it's Xylus. I think it's how you say that. But Xylus is if your league is a keeper league, I like that. And I still like it either way. Dawson Knox, listen, we've seen this with him. He's gotten hot, and then all of a sudden he flutters out. I would like to see him play against or much better defenses. Because if you actually go back and look at the last 3 weeks of Dawson Knox, his matchups were not good. Like good for him, but there were not good defenses. So obviously, if he goes off against them, hey, that's great. But you're going up against really weak teams against the tight end position. What happens when you're going up against those stronger AFC teams? Will Dawson Knox succeed? And this week's a great week for that. You sell a little high, he might flutter out, and you might have just avoided a headache at tight end position. At a position that's already at pretty much has no one there for you to pick from outside of like the top 5 guys, right? They're all just streamers and hope that you're going to get it. So I would always take the safer bet. Najee's a much better running back than Myles Gaskin to have on your roster. And if you could afford that at tight end, then that's a great trade. I love it. Good job. All right. So other than that, we're going to do our parlay pick of the week here. All right. I'm going to kind of just go in there. We're going to pick out 4 different bets that we're going to make into a parlay pick. And then if you guys want to guess those parlay picks in the comment down below, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and write your answers to the parlay pick. It will get you, if you're right, it will get you an entry into the competition for an authentic jersey of your choice, free of charge. My money, basically coming right out of my pocket for you. All right, so let me just get to the DraftKings site. We do this very organically. I'll repost it on my Twitter account at RNFF Designs. So if you guys are interested, then definitely drop it in the comments below there. Or you could drop it in the comments of the Twitter feed before 1 o'clock tomorrow of the post of the parlay pick, and you'll be entered in the contest as well if you get it. All right, so let's go to our DraftKings Sportsbook. Alrighty here. I don't know why it just sounded like. Can I not do football right now? Like, can I go to just the pros? I don't need college. There we go. Alrighty, so I've been kind of thinking about how I wanted to do this pick this week. We're not going to do the 9:30 game. We're not doing the Jacksonville game or the Dolphins game. There's no reason for that. I want people to have a chance to get it into the comments if they want to enter. So let's do a Washington KC bet. And here's an interesting one. We kind of know Patrick Mahomes is probably going to do what, 300 plus? What about rushing? How about, here we go. I like this one. Taylor Heineke. This might be easy. Honestly, this might be easy. But Taylor Heineke, okay, over. This is rush and pass, 288.5. It's a minus 115 on the betting block right now. Okay, so we're gonna one in there and there. Let's do Los Angeles Rams and Giants. I'm gonna go. Let's just go pure over under 48.5 for the Rams and Giants game. Okay, that's actually a really good one. That's a tough one to figure out because I have no idea. I would probably go over, because I kind of boasted the high offense game there. But at the same time, I don't know if I would really put my money on it. Not as an overall game. I just kind of think the quarterbacks are going to kind of, at least Stafford's going to go off a little bit more. Let's do Ravens Chargers, and it wouldn't be fun if we didn't do a Lamar prop bet, right? Lamar Jackson going up against a tough defense. What do we talk about his rushing? Let's see. What do they have for the rushing for him? I believe his rushing average is around 68.5, something along those lines. Okay. Lamar Jackson. Over under rushing 69.5. We're going to add that in there. So there's our 2-player props. We got over 288.5 for Taylor Heineke, or over under, whatever one you decide. That is passing and rushing. Lamar Jackson just rushing over 69.5 or under 69.5. And then the over-under for the Rams Giants game, 48.5. All right, one more to choose from here. So let's go back to the rankings. And I'm going to go with let's give the Bengals Lion game some love. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's figure that one out a little bit here. And let's go with, it needs to be an over-under. That's kind of my only rule that I do for this. Right, game props. All right, I like that. I don't know if I love that one. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Let's give the Lions some love straight up. The Lions team total points over under 20.5. No, I'm sorry. I wanted to give the Lions defense love. All right, so you know what? No. We're going to do Cincinnati over 25.5. Yeah, that's a lot harder. Yeah, I think to me that's a lot harder against a good defense. So, team total points for the Cincinnati Bengals over under 25.5. Lamar Jackson rushing total over under 69.5. Los Angeles New York Giants game total over under 48.5. And Taylor Heineke passing and rushing total 288.5.5 over under. And that is your parlay pick of the week, guys. I will be posting that on my my Twitter account. I'll also be posting that in the comments below after the videos go. After the stream ends, I'll put it down there. So if you guys do want to get another look at that, there it is. Again, you guys have one entry a week. If you do get it correct, you can do this every week and get multiple entries for a chance to win that jersey. So if you guys are here, you're hanging out with me on the stream here, just go ahead, take a shot, man. It's a free contest for your opportunity. Might as well try. If not, I'm going to buy myself the jersey at the end of the year. So either way, a jersey's getting bought, whether it's for someone else or for myself. That's for you guys to decide. And with that, my name is Dave Sarner. If you guys were here at the beginning of the video, this is RNFF Football. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Remember, 9:30 a.m. morning game, Jaguars-Dolphins. Just going to last reminder, okay? Good luck in your matchups. I'll talk to you guys on Waiver Wire Tuesdays. Join us, by the way, Tuesday nights around 8 o'clock p.m. We are going to be doing the Waiver Wire stream. I'll give you guys my top Waiver Wire pickups for the running back, wide receivers, and a couple of QB tight end options as well. So, guys haven't been here before, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click that subscribe button. Click the like button. Talk to you guys later. Have a good weekend. See you later.